Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining our fraud Zoom or fraud prevention Zoom. I am Miranda Peterson. I'm the Treasury Management Leader in Florida.
And Linda Harkins with Treasury Management.
So today, I'm seeing some ways to prevent fraud within your business and some of your business accounts. We are recording this session as well for future playback, so just FYI. And also we will be adding this video and also some documentation as well, a PDF document that you can share with your team for those that were not able to make the Zoom. It'll be on our blog post on our website for you. Okay. So just FYI, also everyone is muted. So if you do have a question, we have a chat box below that you guys can go ahead and add a message in. Our wonderful friend Jenna here from marketing is here to kind of help us facilitate some of the recordings and such for today. So we'll go ahead and get started. So I think everyone knows right now in the world today, the highly volatile economic times that we're in has certainly created numerous problems for businesses and consumers around the world regarding fraud. Financial instability and employment uncertainty have definitely heightened those risks as well. Since people are leaving jobs and such, they're looking for other ways to make money. And unfortunately, a lot of that includes fraud. And so hopefully today we'll be able to give you some extra tips and at least some things to look out for regarding your business accounts. Unfortunately, there's no way to combat all fraud, but hopefully some of the tips you learned today will educate you and maybe your companies to be able for things to look out for. So our first topic today is business email compromise. So what is business email compromise? It's basically where someone is compromising your email platform. So whether they have stolen your email address or have taken over your email account, really without you knowing it. Typically, they're sending you an email and you're clicking on a link and they are infiltrating your computer system or even your email system as well. So certainly ways that you can help that verify before clicking on any link or opening an attachment from someone you do not know. Clearly, I think some of that might just be email 101 in this day and age, but unfortunately, clicking on a link of someone you don't know happens a lot. Double checking the email address. There's a lot of times that an I could actually be turned into an L on someone's email address, and making sure that you're looking at those email addresses from someone you are not familiar with, or actually even if you are familiar with them too, still verifying that email address and not just taking it as face value, especially if they're asking for any type of routing and account number information, any private information. Certainly make sure that you're checking that before you're sending them any information. Don't respond to an email as verification either. Some people want you to, they send you an email and they ask you to respond to that email as verification to say, yes, you received it, or yes, this information is correct. If you are not familiar with this person or this email address for that matter, making sure that you are doing your correct checks, calling them back, doing verifications of a phone number on the system that you have, just to make sure that they are who they say they are. Certainly know and trust who you're working with. If you need to, take the business name. If it's someone new that you've never done business before, Google search them. Add them the term scam or complaints after or before their name to see if there's anything out there that you might be able to Google search on your own. Become your own sleuth. I think this day and age, we need to make sure that we are doing everything that we can to protect ourselves and our businesses. And Google is a very good tool for that. It's a little overwhelming sometimes, but it is also a good tool for that too. Make sure that your antivirus softwares are up to date. A lot of companies think that that is somewhere that they can skimp on for money purposes or whatnot. However, you want to make sure that if an employee does click on something, that your antivirus software is checking up on that information to make sure that it is not doing anything too fraudulent to your company. So make sure that you are checking that information. There's also kind of an email scam right now, I should say, one of the many that are happening, where senior management within the company sends an employee an email with requests to either transfer money or give them verification information back or even send money out for them. So certainly with that same thing, make sure that you are checking the email address and calling the person who sent you that email, even if it is senior level management, just to make sure that the email that they sent you is a true and valid request for information. Does anyone have any questions so far? No. Judy's shaking her head no. No. All right, great. Miss Linda?
Okay, so now we're going to talk a little bit about wire fraud. Wire fraud has become increasingly attractive due to the fraudulent activity, the speed, and the finality of the payment, as well as the lack of internal controls and actual knowledge amongst employees. So there are some things that you can do to assist with that if you are doing wires, whether they're online or manual wires with your bank, with information that you've received from someone that you need to make payment to. Always verify the authenticity of each wire transfer request by implementing a two-step verification process, making sure that you're calling, if you receive wiring instructions by email, make sure that you're picking up the phone and calling that company, someone that you know at that company, the person that you're doing business with, to verify that information. And always have them verify that information to you versus you verifying the information to them. Also use, whenever possible, if you have online banking and you're doing your wires online, use repetitive wire templates. So that if you're going to be doing repetitive wires to that same company, that information is already in the system. That can limit you having to, you receiving another email with different information for sending that wire, and then you have something to check it against. So you always want to make sure that whenever possible to use those templates, and never initiate any changes to a wire, again, without verifying that information. Picking up the phone, calling that company. What we've had happen before is we've had companies that have been sending wires to a particular vendor for payment, and then they receive an email saying, hey, just want to let you know we've changed banks. Here's our new banking information. At that point, that is a huge red flag. Make sure that you stop, pick up the phone, don't call back on the number or respond to the email that you just received, or pick up the phone and call someone at that designated phone number with that company to verify that information. Beware of email requests instructing a routine wire payment be sent to a new account or a new vendor. Match your payment to a legitimate invoice before paying. So you should have an invoice or something to match against before sending those funds. And then also be aware of the sense of urgency. If you're getting an email and the person is requesting that it needs to be done now, here's the information, you know, verify it by giving me a call at the number here with on the email that they're sending you. Just make sure that you're taking a step back and you're verifying all that information.
Definitely. Thank you, Linda. I think certainly in this day right now, when people are getting emails and do all of their, a lot of their business via email, there is, yes, a sense of urgency with fraudsters trying to get you to hurry up quickly because they think that you will do less verifications if it's a sense of urgency. And I believe that a lot of people, the main parts of the fraud is that they are trying to hurry up and get it out. And then not only that, they are not using the current templates that they have on file. And with those templates, if that information is different from your template, that should be an automatic red flag to stop and verify with a phone number that you have on your core system rather than a phone number that's in your email. A lot of times that email phone number is fraudulent as well. And calling that person is only going to further more fraud for you. Yeah. Anyone have any questions? No? No? Okay, great. Our next topic is business online banking fraud. So this is the type of fraud that targets your business online banking. Here at Bank of Central Florida, we do have three components to log into our online banking. And we also have the out-of-band authentication that we call, and basically that's the text message that you receive. You receive that to log into the system. And also if you're approving any transactions to be able to go out of the account, ACHs or wires. So certainly when you're in your online banking platform, you want to make sure that you're being attentive in the online session. Certainly don't leave it on and walk away from your computer to go get some coffee or whatnot. Make sure that you're done with your session and then close it out properly and then walk away and do what you need to do. You also want to make sure that you're paying attention to the application screen. If someone has, maybe you've downloaded something within your email and someone is maybe on the backside doing something, if they remoted into your computer for whatever reason, and they're waiting for you to just get into your online, you want to make sure that you're watching the screens to make sure that nothing fraudulent is happening on that backside. Certainly be cautious when you're visiting internet sites from the same websites that you carry out online banking activities to. Typically, if you're going to do any online banking transactions, go into an internet website by itself, a web browser, if you will. And when you're done, close out that web browser and open up a new one to do any other type of banking or any type of other work you need to do. Certainly, our website is definitely SSL secured, but definitely don't want to take any chances and just closing it out and opening up a brand new one to do any other services that you need on the internet. Make sure that you have a dedicated firewall. A lot of companies, like I said earlier, they do skimp on the internet or the IT parts of it, but you want to make sure that you're working with a reputable company, and also making sure that you're updating your firewall. There's changing your passwords too. Making sure that you're actively changing your passwords. Our online banking system does require every 90 days. However, you're not limited to that. You certainly can change it every month if you'd like. I think I would forget my password if I did that every 30 days. But certainly the system does require every 90 days. So at least you're actively having to change that information. Never share your usernames and passwords. There's a lot of companies that we go to sometimes that do their treasury management install training in person. And there's a little sticky note right on the monitor that shows their login information. Certainly, please don't do that. Don't leave that information there for anyone to get a hold of it. People in your office might be trustable people. There could be cleaning crews or whatnot. Anyone else coming in, anyone coming to visit your office can get that information. Our system does allow for notifications as well. So certainly if you wanted to set alerts or manage those alerts within our online banking platform about certain transactions that happen, dollar amounts, dollar limits and things, there are a plethora of alerts in our system. If you need some assistance, you can certainly email us or our treasury group to help you find some of those different alerts. But there's quite a bit of them for you to be able to set within the system. And you can get an email or a text message on those alerts as well. So just be aware of that too. You want to make sure that you're leveraging segregation of duties. So if one person is implementing the wire, another person is approving it. That dual control in there really is helpful, especially if you have someone with a wire that has sent you to you and it's a sense of urgency. It needs to get out now. If you have that segregation of duties, that first person is inputting it and that second person is approving it. That way there's another set of eyes looking at that transaction going, wait, this looks weird. This information was different from what we got last week. So typically segregation of duties, separating those really does help companies look out for possible fraudulent transactions. And also setting dollar limits as well in our platform. Our system, we already have dollar limits set on our side. However, if you wanted to set smaller dollar limits for any of your users on the system, if you have someone in your office that is approving wires, however, you want to make sure that they're not approving them for too high, you could always set their limit smaller in the online banking platform to make sure that they are not doing wires too high off of their limit. So there's different limits you can set for your users within the system. Okay. Does anyone have any questions so far? A lot of information already. Only 9:14.
Great. Okay, so now we're going to move into check fraud. Check fraud is still the largest target of fraud that we're currently seeing right now. 74% of organizations report check fraud, and that grows steadily each year. That's probably what we're seeing more of here at the bank than anything else right now. There are several things that you can do to mitigate check fraud, but it really is up to you to take those steps to mitigate that fraud. So make sure that when you order your checks that you're ordering them from a reputable company. Don't just order them off any company online. Make sure it's a reputable company. We certainly are more than happy to order them for you here at the bank. Make sure you're filling out the check properly. Make sure you're not using any initials, like for instance, IRS, write out Internal Revenue Service. That way they don't have as much room to alter that check when those names are completed in full. make sure you're filling out the dollar amount using that full box, whether you're putting some, if you're printing checks, putting some asterisks in front of it so that they also can't manipulate those amounts if they get hold of the check. Also safeguard your checks and your account information. Don't leave your checks by your printer. I know it's convenient to have your checks right there, but you're leaving your check stock out where anybody can take a check, remove a check from the middle of the pile, whatever it may be. And also the other day I happened to walk into one of our clients' office and they had their mail that was going out, checks going out, sitting on the counter. The door was unlocked. Obviously people were coming and going. It was sitting there for the post office, the mailman to pick up. Don't do that. That anybody can walk in and just pull those checks, pick them up. So always keep them behind the desk or secured in a drawer until they come in to pick up the mail. Again, like Miranda was talking about, segregation of duties. Whoever is completing the check, if you have an authorized signers in the office, have somebody else sign those checks, have somebody else looking at those. And then reconcile your accounts daily. I can't tell you how important it is for someone to be looking at the account every day. That means taking 5 minutes in the morning, opening up your accounts, looking at anything that's posted to your account that day, ensuring that you're opening up the check icon to make sure that somebody has not altered the check. We're seeing a lot of altered checks lately, and those are very hard to identify for the bank, because what happens is possibly you put your checks in the mail, and somewhere between when you drop them in the mail and before they get deposited into the receiver's account, somebody lifts that check. And what they do is they take that check and they chemically wash out the payee. So you make the check out to ABC Company, they make it out to John Smith, they go to the bank, they cash that check then makes it back to our bank to debit your account. That's not going to flag in our system. The reason being is it is your check, it is your signature, it's your check sequence, and we don't know who you write your checks to. So it's very important that somebody's looking at the account daily, opening up those check icons and verifying that the payee is correct and the check is legitimate.
See, and not only that, sometimes with checks too, if they are intercepting your checks in the mail and washing out the information, they are doing a mobile deposit of that check and then maybe checking that check to Amscot. So they've almost gotten credit for that check twice. So definitely make sure that you are checking those items as well.
Absolutely. And also your any debits on the account. If it's if someone's ACH debiting your account, just making sure that that's a legitimate ACH debit. And I know that Miranda's going to talk a little bit about that in just a few minutes. For our business online clients, we do have a service that's available to you. It's called ACH Positive Pay. And what that product does, it allows you, when you do your check run in your accounting software, to upload a file with pertinent check information, such as the number, the amount, the date, and the payee. And then you're able to import that file into the online banking system. That information sits in a database. And as those checks come in to debit your account, they match against that information in the database. If everything matches, the check pays just as it normally does today. If for some reason something on the check doesn't match, you get an email notification, about 7 o'clock in the morning. You log in, you look at the exception, the check exception, and then you make the decision whether it's a valid check or not. If it is a check that has been washed, you'll be able to identify that immediately. And then all you need to do is to return the check as an altered check within the system. Your account stays whole and you just move on from that point. So if there is anyone that ever wants any additional information or would like to implement a service like that, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We'd be more than happy to do that for you.
Absolutely. I think check fraud or check positive pay, if you will, has been instrumental in helping a lot of our clients combat fraud. Certainly, like Linda said, once that item comes in, you can actually set an alert to be notified of those items as well when they come in, so that you can, the exception items, so that you can, when you decision them, when you return them, they have no effect on your account is still whole. And so you can basically return those and essentially go on with your day. You can also approve those items within our online banking app as well. our business app, you can look at your ACH exceptions or check exceptions that have come through and be able to say, yes, I want to pay this, or no, I don't. The Positive Pay system is actually really good for working with our teller line as well. So let's say you have someone that you wrote a check to someone, and maybe it's an expense check to someone, what have you, or vendor check, and it's made payable to a person. They come into the branch to cash the check. If you have put that information within the Positive Pay system within our online banking platform, the system will flag for the tellers at the teller line, and the tellers, okay, this check is in the Positive Pay system. It is in the database. The check is good to go ahead and pay. And the tellers will go ahead and pay that check. If for any particular reason the check is not in that list, our teller line or our community support staff will call you to verify that that check is okay to go ahead and pay, and then we will go ahead and pay it for you. So at least the Positive Pay system is kind of like a flag or a filtering system, if you will, to try and help combat as possibly as much check fraud as we can. I know checks kind of seem like a little bit of a relic of the past, but checks are still out there and still very prevalent. A lot of businesses only do business by check. So you just want to make sure that when you're giving out that check, it does have your routing and account number information on it. So you're not giving it to someone who is going to do anything with it. And if they do, you have the services in place to help mitigate some of that. Okay. Our last topic is ACH fraud. So ACH fraud is basically they're using your routing and account number information to electronically or fraudulently debiting your account. Typically, ACH is used for either vendor payments or maybe payroll for your employees. Sometimes just cash transfers and things like that to other banks. And so with that information, criminals, they either obtain this information either by phishing emails, so business email compromise. They are sending you an email saying, hey, I need this rerouting information so I can send you more money. And certainly they're getting that information that way. Your account running number is all that is needed for them to do this ACH fraud. Certainly, once again, never respond to any emails with routing and account number information if you have not picked up the phone and called that person on a verified phone number within your system. Don't just willy-nilly sending information. Definitely don't want to do that. Our ACH Positive Pay service that we do have basically kind of acts like a filtering system. So when those ACH transactions come in, you can see who has debited your account, see the company name, and you can decide, yes, this company did debit my account. I do want to go ahead and pay this transaction. Now, if it's somebody that you do business with a lot, something that they're debiting on a reoccurring basis, let's say it's Tico or Florida Power and Light, what have you, you can set a dollar amount for those transactions to continue to come through your account. So let's say your bill for Tico is $300 every single month. You can set an alert for, let's say, $350, anything up to $350 for Tico or Florida Power and Light that comes in. It will come in and transact on the account with no issues, no alerts or anything. If it's after or above that $350 limit, it will then flag it to you for you to decision. And it's not just set for the 300 or the 50. Every transaction can be set for its own dollar limit so that you can decide what needs to come in and what doesn't. There's also a dual control kind of piece to that. You can have some employees who are verifying the checks and someone who is verifying the ACH transaction. Our system actually has a lot of user capabilities in it, and we want to make sure that all customers are aware of all of those user capabilities. So certainly if you have any questions, if there's anything that we can answer for you, Linda and I are always here to be able to answer those questions. Certainly Chris and Rachel in our support area as well. They are very good about answering emails and phones for clients, and certainly anything that we can do to help you try to mitigate fraud, we are here for you. A lot of businesses are not aware that they do have only 24 hours to let us know if they do happen to find fraud. That's not to say that after that 24 hours, you're at a loss completely. We will certainly do everything that we can. But after that 24 hours, the possibility of getting the money back lessens by every single minute. So you want to make sure that you are checking your accounts each day, like Linda suggested, making sure that you're looking at those items, sending alerts if you need to for specific transactions, dual control for any transactions that you're doing. But certainly you have that 24-hour time period to let us know. Now, certainly if you do happen to find fraud on your account, let us know right away. There's a check that has come in, even if it was a week ago, still let us know. We want to make sure that if there's a possibility to get your money back, to be able to do that reconciliation to help you on the backside, do that fraud request so that we can make sure that we can try and get your money back as much as possible. Typically, once the money is out, it goes into a separate account outside somewhere, and typically the money is gone pretty fairly quickly. So just be aware that if you find something, let us know right away so that we can do what we can on our side to be able to make sure that we can try and get the money back for you. Doesn't always work, fortunately. Getting the money back doesn't always happen, but at least we can do what we can to try to help you mitigate as much of that as possible. Okay. Anyone have any questions so far? Everybody's been really quiet. No questions. I don't know if that's good or bad.
Okay, so I'm with the private banking. So do the positive pay system work for private banking as well?
The Positive Pay system is for our business online banking clients. So if you're using business internet banking and have a business checking account, then yes. If it is a personal checking account, unfortunately not. You do actually have a little bit more time to view those items. I believe the time frame is 60 days, but don't hold me to that because it is personal account. But certainly you have a little bit more time to be able to find those items to be able to return them back. However, I will say kind of the same thing with the business accounts. Make sure that you're always checking everything. That 60-day time frame, that doesn't mean the money's there on that other side. So in order to try to make sure that we're getting the money back for you, to do our fraud investigation, to get those funds returned back to you, as soon as you find out about it, don't wait. As soon as you see it, let us know so that we can kind of go through that process to make sure that we try and get your money back for you.
Consumers and business accounts have different rules and regulations as far as fraudulent items and returns go. So as Miranda was saying, with consumer accounts, it's between 30 and 60 days, depending on what type of fraud it is. But with businesses, it's 24 hours. So everything that comes in, let's say today to the account, to debit your account tomorrow morning, you really have until 5 p.m. tomorrow to let us know prior to the bank closing for us to guarantee the return of those funds. So it's just really important that you're looking at your account. And for consumer accounts, that you do have the SecureLock, which is available to you, the app where you can go on and put alerts. I know that on my personal account here, I have the SecureLock. So every time I use my debit card, I automatically I can hear it ding as soon as the transaction goes through. And it lets me know, and I just glance, you know, at my phone. So I'm always looking to make sure that any transactions are legitimate. But that's a really big help on the consumer side. That SecureLock, I would highly recommend adding that on.
For sure, absolutely. And not only that, I think with a SecureLock, you can turn your card on and off as well. So if you've lost your card, you can turn it on and off. You can have multiple cards in there as well. So if you have one card for your personal account and one account for your account with you and your husband, you can have multiple cards on one app and set limits and transactions requirements for those. So it's a really good app. If you don't have it, I think there should be information on our app as well. And that works for business cards as well. Business cards can use that same app. It's not just specific to consumer cards. Okay, great. Thank you, Judy. Anyone else? No. Melissa, are you sure? No? Well, great. Thank you everyone so much for coming to our fraud Zoom today. Hopefully everyone has gotten some good information. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me or Linda, or certainly on our Treasury support team as well. Like I said, this recording or this Zoom meeting is being recorded and it will be out on our blog post. It will also with a PDF of information. Our wonderful marketing young lady, Jenna over here, she put together a really good PDF presentation. So if you wanted to, you could print that off and give that to your employees, which is a lot of the information that we just talked about so that they can read over it as well. If you would like Linda and I to come out and do any type of fraud presentation to you and your team to kind of talk about some of the things that you guys have seen and maybe ways that we might be able to help you try and mitigate some of those, we are happy to do that. Just let us know. Or if you're interested in even signing up for the services, the ACH Positive Pay or the Check Positive Pay, we have lots of customers on that service right now, and it's I wouldn't even can't even put a dollar amount to how much money it has saved our clients with fraud services. So But certainly have any questions, let us know. We're always here to help. Okay. Yay. Have a great day, everybody. See you later.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Bye.